Good evening. I would like to call this meeting to order, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I need a motion to accept the agenda.
So move.
I have a motion by trustee Shola Barber.
Second.
I have a second by trustee Hill. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, Secretary Hill, will you please take attendance?
All trustees are present, and Dr. Slade is also present.
Thank you. At this time, Ms. Coney, it looks like we have a lot of company for our board recognitions.
We do. Thank you, President Harrison. We are joined this evening by two schools. We will begin with Woods Lake and Principal Miss Linda Mitchell. And Assistant Principal Sierra Prather.
Good evening. My name is Linda Mitchell, and I'm the principal of Woods Lake Elementary, a Magna Center for the Arts, and this is Assistant Principal Sierra Prather. I also would like to recognize our Woods Lake team that's in the audience. Thank you for being present today. We are excited to celebrate the Woods Lake Excelsior students and for their accomplishments in academics, attendance, and attitude. Our first student is Zayden Turner. A second grade student at Woods Lake Elementary has shown a compelling improvement in his classroom behavior. His character development has allowed him to take pride in completing his classroom work with precision. Zayden's fast bridge scores in both reading and math have increased since the beginning of school, and he is working hard to make improvements. Zayden is recognized on Fridays by Mrs. Wilson Bridges, his second grade teacher, during their weekly homework celebration. Our next student is Clarion Coleman. A second grade student at Woods Lake Elementary has become a second grade scholar. His significant improvement in his classroom behavior has given him a boost in his character development by being an eager participant in class and a facilitator for others. His eagerness to learn and do his personal best has resulted in a steady increase in his reading, math, fast bridge scores. Clarion has taken pride in his classwork and has demonstrated his mental math proficiency. His dedication and hard work will put him at grade level by the end of the year. We want to recognize Clarion for his hard work. Next, we have Kevin Rodriguez Almendarez. A third grade student at Woods Lake Elementary has built an excellent relationship with his teacher, Ms. Brinkert. His character development has caused him to problem solve and have a positive interaction with his classmates. He has progressed into showing interest and even being excited in all of his subjects. Kevin is very motivated to do his work, which has caused him to have an improvement in reading and math on his fast bridge scores since the beginning of the school year. We want to recognize Kevin for his dedication and determination. Next, we have Leo Razo Hernandez. A second grade student at Woods Lake Elementary has been more actively engaged in ESL and multilingual class activities, participating in classroom discussions and completing assignments. He has positive interactions with his peers. Each day he is excited for math and shows pride in himself when he gets a correct answer. From fall to winter screening, his A math score has gone from 168 to 185. He is a curious, kind, and respectful student who makes his team proud, and his growth deserves a spotlight.
The next student that we're honoring is Shamir Cook, a fourth grade student at Woods Lake Elementary. He has had an amazing year thus far. He is considerate and a hard worker. Shamir has shown considerate growth in self-control and learning to deal with his big emotions. He scored a 464 in his fast bridge reading in the fall and shot up to 519 in the winter. His focus and positive self-talk has helped him become a better reader and an all-around student. We want to recognize Shamir for his hard work and academic achievement. We would like to recognize Kaylin Ryan, a fourth grade student at Woods Lake Elementary. He is intelligent and determined. He is he's very knowledgeable about many things and has shown great improvement in his self-control and work habits. He is above the 85th percentile and was able to increase his reading by 4 points. In math, he increased by 2 points on his winter fast bridge assessment. We want to recognize Kalen for his determination and success this school year. Xander Sweet is a 5th grade student at Woods Lake Elementary. He's a hardworking student. He is active participant in class and always goes above and beyond in his classwork. After school, he participates in Kids in Tune and still finds the time for extra academic programs like Dreambox at home. As a result of his hard work, he has moved from the 51st percentile to the 69th percentile in NWEA reading, and from the 60th percentile to the 87th percentile in math for his winter NWEA. We want to recognize Xander for all of his hard work. Addison Davis, a 5th grade student at Woods Lake Elementary, is focused and determined. She works well with others and is helpful to her classmates. In class, she participates and asks questions if she is confused. Outside of school, she works on programs such as Dreambox, even when it's not required. As a result of her determination and hard work, she's moved from the 60th percentile to the 81st percentile in math in her NWEA assessment. We want to recognize Addie for her steadfast work ethic and determination this school year. Let's move up for it.
Parents, you're welcome to come closer if you'd like. Here, 1, 2, 3. Guys are wonderful. Our second group this evening is from Millwood Middle School, and Principal Mr. Mitch Hawkins is here to introduce us to his students.
Good evening, Board of Education. Good evening, KPS family, and good evening to all of our families. My name is Mitch Hawkins, and I'm the principal of Millwood Magnet School, and I'm a proud principal. This evening, we are going to celebrate our second annual Student Council. These students have demonstrated tremendous leadership. They have initiated a food drive. They have sponsored our school dance. They provide community service, and they exemplify leadership. Give it up for Millwood Magnet School Student Council. First, I would like to bring out Ayandria Bridges, a 7th grade honor roll student. Next, we have Isaac Delgado, a 6th grade honor roll student. I would now like to introduce the Student Council President, Ms. Monique Hudson. I would like to introduce an 8th grade honor roll student, Jenna Atawi. Introducing next, Ariel Johnson, an honor roll 8th grade student. Introducing Malia Morrow, an 8th grade honor roll student. Let's welcome a 7th grade honor roll student, Emerson Nardi Palmer. Introducing next, Ruby Santiago, an 8th grade honor roll student. Welcome a 6th grade honor roll student, Emiliano Salas. Please congratulate an 8th grade honor roll student, Camden Ziegler. These students exemplify excellence, and I'd like to congratulate them all. Give them a round of applause. Camden, let's go.
Do you think we could squish in a little bit, maybe make 2 rows?
I usually get that first.
That concludes this evening's recognitions.
Thank you, Ms. Coney. Before we finish the rest of the agenda, I just wanted to take a moment to make an announcement. The Kalamazoo Public Schools Board of Education takes filling the vacancy of the Board of Education with great responsibility, equity, and inclusiveness. Requests have been made to extend the application deadline due to federal holidays, inclement weather, and snow days. Therefore, the period of time to apply for the vacancy has been extended to noon on Wednesday, the 7th of February, 2024. All applications that have already been received will still be in the pool of consideration. The application can be found on the KPS website at www.kalamazoopublicschools.com or may be picked up at the Administration Building, 1220 Howard Street, between the hours of 8 and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. After applications are received, the trustees will hold a special meeting on February 8th in the Administration Building, 1220 Howard Street, to select candidates to interview. The interviews will be held and a candidate will be selected at a special meeting on February 12th in the administration building at 1220 Howard Street. The new trustee will begin their term on February 22nd at the regularly scheduled board meeting. This vacancy is for a term effective upon appointment through December 31st, 2024. Are there any committee or school reports? Secretary Hill, will you please read the correspondence?
Yep, we received 2 correspondence, both through the email. One on January 12th of this year from Susan O'Connor about reading instruction questions, and Dr. Slade responded to that, and a meeting was set up. And the second one was on January 24th from Robert Becker, who's announcing that he's running for school board for the Michigan Association of School Board, and I responded to him. And that was it. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the consent calendar items. This is an implied motion where we'll vote yes or no. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, this includes purchase requests. So Ms. Kaiser, will you take care of that, please?
Yes, thank you, President Harrison. We have 8 purchase recommendations this evening. The first being request number 2024-20 in the amount of $482,067.98. And this is for Maple Street AV upgrades out of the 2022 bond. Next, we have purchase recommendation 2024-21 in the amount of $55,494. This is for 53 HP ProDesk 400 G9 SFF PCs at $528 each, 30 ELO 1502L touchscreen monitors at $581 each, 30 ELO 2 dB CR barcode readers at $336 each. And this is funded from the 2022 bond. Next, we have request number 2024-22 in the amount of $120,225. This is to purchase 3 security camera video servers. This is funded from the MDE Section 97 safety grant. Next, we have request number 2024-23 for $35,000. This is for generator work at North Glade Montessori Magnet School, and this is funded from the 2018 bond. Next, we have purchase recommendation 2024-24 in the amount of $50,000. This is related to Hillside Middle School remodeling and site improvements to increase the contingency amount. Next, we have purchase recommendation request 2024-25 in the amount of $40,000. This is related to the Millwood Magnet School remodeling and site improvements funded from the 2018 bond, and this is also to increase the contingency amount. Next, we have purchase recommendation 2024-26 in the amount of $580,982. This is for the installation of a new catwalk at Chenery Auditorium, and this is funded in part from a grant from the Irving S. Gilmore Foundation of $375,000, as well as the Facilities Management General Fund budget. Lastly, we have purchase recommendation 2024-27 in the amount of $631,488.10. This is to fund core switches, firewalls, and wireless access points, and these are to be funded from E-rate federal funds. Thank you.
Is there any discussion from the board? Trustee Shola Barber.
I just want to do a major shout out to the community as I peruse through these tens of thousands of dollars of expenditures that are dutifully needed. Most of them are coming out of bonds, or a majority of them are coming out of bonds. And we couldn't do this without the generous support of the district's citizens, the people in the district that are supporting our bonds. And so I just really, if we didn't have this, it would have to come out of the general funds. I don't see a lot of fluff here. I don't see things that are their maintenance. There are things that need to be upgraded. There's security in here. So a big shout out. Thanks, Karen Jackson, for doing what you do to work through these POs. I know that this is not the easiest thing, getting bids and whatever. So thank you so much, what you do as our facilities manager. And if I could, there's one more little thing here buried in the, what is this section called? It is called, I had it open. It's just one moment, please. Bear with me. It is called the personnel changes. Buried in there is very sad. I've got Kleenex under the table. I am trying not to, I'm holding my composure. We owe for the dutiful services of our assistant superintendent, Sheila Dorsey Smith, who won't be with us for years and years to come. We won't announce any dates or anything, but duly noticed how much you've done for this district, how much you mean to this district, and how sad we are to see you go, but wish you the best and the funnest and the most relaxing-ist. Those are not good words, but that's my wish.
Trustee Hill.
I want to jump on the bandwagon to be grateful to the voters who always pass bonds in Kalamazoo. Technology, who knew it would cost that much? It's big, but COVID told us how much we need technology, and I'd like to think that we're right on top of it all the time. Because I read these things, they make no sense to me, which means I know that somebody who knows what they're doing is doing a good job. The upkeep of the buildings is huge. We get great compliments on how well our buildings look, how well they're maintained, and that's why we have these buildings still here. We try to build new ones when we need to, and we maintain our old ones. And of course, safety is paramount. Safety first. Thank you.
Treasurer Murphy.
I also want to thank everyone who has helped pass a bond. It is being used as reasonable as possible. I do have two tiny questions. One of them is for 2024-25. In the details, it states that the link is available included. I think I'm looking at the right one. Nope, I'm just kidding. I'm looking at the wrong page. 2024-27, E-rate federal funds. Are you able to provide that link?
I guess I'd have to ask Mr. Ian Haight if that is available.
The E-rate posting of projects can be viewed by any vendor wishing to provide the equipment and services requested. I don't. It says the number of proposals requested, see below. I just wanted to.
Yeah, that is not a public link. E-rate's a federal program, and vendors they join it, they apply to be a vendor in it, and then they can see the postings that we put up.
Okay. How many, do you happen to know how many proposals we asked for?
And we put it out there, and then anybody can look at it. So we're not soliciting specific people. Actually, I don't even see who the vendors are. They just submit things to us at the end.
Okay, so it was a lot, potentially.
Oh, yeah.
More than 6,
Yes.
because we did get 6. Okay, that answers my question. Thank you
Yes.
very much, and I'm so sorry.
problem.
Thank you. And then the other question I had was 2024-26. Just to make sure that I'm understanding it correctly, it was $375,000 plus the $528,000. So this is $1 million project to ensure that Chenery is functional for the next several years.
No, actually, it's a $580,982 project, of which $375,000 will be funded from the grant from the Gilmore Foundation. The remaining amount would be funded from general fund.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Seeing none, at this time, we'll have the superintendent's update.
Good afternoon, community members, board members. I want to recognize one of our outstanding partners. As you know, we have a variety of partners who work with Kalamazoo Public Schools to make sure we provide a quality education for our students. This particular partner does everything. They help improve attendance. They've been doing this for years, as a matter of fact. They work with us to improve attendance, student achievement, graduation rates. They work with students who have behavior issues and emotional issues. So I wanted to have Community in Schools and their CEO, James Devers, come up and just talk about the Community in Schools program, who we could not really exist without their support. So thank you, Mr. Devers.
Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Slade, board members. First time in front of the board, but thankfully it's all familiar faces, both in front of me and behind me. So grateful for that. So today I'm charged with just sharing about communities and schools. So it'll be a brief presentation, an overview. So I'm just going to jump right into the presentation. I have hard copies for the board as well as our most recent annual report. Next slide. And it's in sections. So one more click. All right, thank you. All right, so first thing to know is that Communities in Schools as an organization, even though we've been in Kalamazoo for 20 years, Communities in Schools as an organization has been around since 1977. Started in New York City by the founder, Bill Milliken, and his goal was to bring community resources into public schools in an accessible, coordinated, and accountable way. And in these conversations, there's two quotes that I included in this presentation that speak to partially the work, but also the heart of Communities in Schools. So the first one is that it's not programs that are transforming young people's lives, it's relationships. And that just speaks to the fact that people matter. The adults matter and the young people matter. And then the other quote is, a great program simply creates the environment for healthy relationships to form between adults and children. Young people thrive when adults care about them on a one-to-one level, and when they also have a sense of belonging to a caring community. And these are foundational tenets of what Communities in Schools is all about. Next slide, please. So in terms of that national organization that I mentioned, CIS is actually in 28 states. CIS of Kalamazoo is our local affiliate. There's 2 other affiliates in the state of Michigan, and then a host of affiliates throughout the nation. Those affiliates serve 3,270 schools and upwards of 1.8 million children. Next slide. Locally, the City of Kalamazoo, KPS, and the Chamber of Commerce were imagining a more just and healthy community, one in which every child had a chance to finish school and be ready for college and the workforce. So there were conversations, and then there were action also taking place. And even just pausing for a second, City of Kalamazoo, government, Kalamazoo Public Schools, district, Chamber of Commerce, business community. All of these organizations, institutions, systems were looking at how can our children be successful. So there was a fledgling version of CIS that was also in process pre-2003, but in 2003, that version of CIS of Kalamazoo, along with the Kalamazoo Public Education Foundation and the Kalamazoo Area Academic Achievement Program, merged into what is now known as Communities in Schools of Kalamazoo, and our affiliate was officially formed. The mission of CIS is to surround students with a community of support, empowering them to stay in school and achieve in life. And that mission is a national mission. So every CIS affiliate shares the same mission. Surround students with support, empower them to stay in school and achieve in life. And then we have a local vision for Kalamazoo, an engaged community where every child fulfills their promise. And obviously that word promise has a dual meaning. Promise as in terms of potential, but also promise in terms of the opportunity that sits at the end of the high school experience. Next slide, thank you. So in terms of local footprint, I provided some statistics just to show you 2003, the beginning, when we were in 8 schools, had 5 after-school sites, 8 part-time coordinators on staff, to where we are today, well, 2023, where we're now in 22 schools, have 15 after-school sites, upwards to 100 staff, 400 volunteers engaged with our students, providing over 100,000 hours of support and supporting thousands of students. So the 11,500 represents the student population in the buildings that we're in. And then the 1678 represents the students that we have sustained ongoing connections with. So almost 1,700 students we're working with on a regular basis. Giving out, and again, this is just 1 year of work, 39,000 basic needs items. And we're the type of organization we don't count. So if we fill a backpack with stuff, it's a backpack. If we give a food pack and it has enough food for a family for a whole weekend, it's just a food pack. So that 39,000 is actually an underreporting of the actual individual items that go out primarily through our kids' closets centrally, but then we have kids' closets in all 21 KPS buildings that we work in. So that's food, that's clothes, that's school supplies, and hygiene items that we can provide to our students free of charge. And then we also work with partners. Well, we work with partners for basic needs, but we also work with partners to provide health services as well. That's vision, dental, mental health. In terms of who we work with, it's also important to know that while we work within KPS, and we're pretty familiar with the statistics of Kalamazoo Public Schools, it's important to know that the students that CIS works with are even more challenged than the general KPS population. So case in point, where the general KPS population is about 70% free and reduced lunch, the students that CIS works with is about 97% of those students receive free and reduced lunch. In terms of demographics, the students that CIS work with are primarily students of color, even to a greater percentage of what the general district population is. And that's what those 2 pie charts represent that I'm showing you. And to talk about how we do our work, because I think people know that they know CIS for like a certain thing that they encounter, but it's important to know that we operate in a very, if I can use the word, scientific way. And the model that's shown there shows the model. So our process is a 5-step process that involves needs assessment, planning, integrated student supports. I'll talk about that later. Monitoring and adjusting of the plans and the supports we provide, and then evaluation of our overall work. So the next slide allows us to dig into further, like integrated student supports. So this is the work that our staff are doing during the school day at 3 different levels. Tier 1 are services that are provided to all students in the building, regardless of economic situation, regardless of if you're in the school, you can access those services. Tier 2, targeted services. Small group, usually. And then we have the Tier 1 services, which are individualized supports. So just as an example to kind of show the 3 tiers. So if we were doing a school-wide incentive program for homework completion, that'd be Tier 1. If we were doing group tutoring, that's Tier 2. Individualized one-on-one tutoring with a volunteer, that's Tier 3. So all 3 levels are working in all of the schools that we're working in. And then in terms of those levels, there's 10 areas of support, or 10 areas in which we provide supports: academic assistance, basic needs, behavioral, college and career prep, community service learning, enrichment, family engagement, life skills, mental health, and physical health. So we have programs, we have partners, we have services that hit either on individual buckets or in multiple buckets. So one of the services that we're known for that sometimes gets confused with like CIS, the work, is our after school program. So that is a service that we provide that hits on academic assistance, it hits on enrichment, it hits on family engagement, but that is simply a very large program, but it's simply a program. The model that I showed you before is the work of CIS. And again, we have staff working full-time in 14 elementaries, one person, and we have 2 staff working full-time in 4 middle schools, 2 high schools, and we have 1 person at Phoenix. So we're embedded. And I showed you national model, and just in terms of overall organization, Kalamazoo has the most, one of the deepest operating CISs in the national footprint. Most have a couple schools in the district and a couple schools in that district. We have almost every KPS school covered, and we have them covered deeply in terms of the services that we provide. In other affiliates, the services are coordinated individually at each building by the site coordinator. In Kalamazoo, we have central support that can push out into the schools so that our staff can spend more time with students. On the next slide, this is our, it's a video, it's 8 minutes, so obviously I'm not gonna play that because I don't have that much more time. But this video explains our model in great detail. And so if you ever get a chance and you wanna know like how does CIS work, some of the things that I've spoken up to will be mentioned again, but that's one of the clearest explanations of CIS. So if you watch that, you have 8 minutes and you'll get an even deeper understanding of how we work. And then it might be a lot of clicking, so I don't know if we can get back to the vision, but I just want to say this in closing. The CIS's vision, again, is an engaged community where every child fulfills their promise. And we use the word every a lot, but again, that's the vision. And so as a person myself, many of you know this, some may not, I'm a Kalamazoo Public Schools graduate. I attended Woodward, Woodrow Wilson, Spring Valley, Washington, Millwood Middle, Hillside, and Kalamazoo Central in Camden. And for those that are informed, think about the schools that I just named. I stand here as a representation of what our children are capable of. When we say an engaged community where every child fulfills their promise, for me personally, for us as an organization, it's not empty talk. We have folks on our team who have grown up in this city, lived through and experienced many of the challenges that our children are facing, and we've been able to advance with the help of Kalamazoo Public Schools. So when we say we believe this, we believe it with a bias because we actually lived it out. So in terms of just knowing the heart of CIS, that's what we're operating from. Even though we deal with deficits, our kids are not deficient. Even though they have challenges, they're still capable. And that's how we operate as an organization. And that's the type of service that we want to provide. And more so than, the food, the clothes, and the school supply, we want to be known for helping empower our students, helping to support our schools to make our children successful. Thank you.
Mr. Devers, is it possible that we may ask you a couple of questions? Or Superintendent, is it? Okay. Because I'm sure that there are a couple of questions from the board. Trustee Scholler-Barber?
Well, I don't know about questions, Mr. Devers, but if there's a role open for the president of the James Deaver Fan Club, I want to apply. And I'll tell you, you are, and I'm gonna just blow some sunshine your way, that deservedly so. You do walk the walk. What you said, your sincerity. You are the second CEO following Pam Kingery. I had the honor of being on the selection team, and it was a rigorous, and it was, you were so sincere and so dedicated to children, and we've seen that come forward. You do the work. I've said on many board meetings and that where these graphs are discussed in detail, your plans, your organization, your delivering to the board the needed information that to get the work done. And that's one thing. That's one star in your crown. Next star in your crown will be your concern for kids as much as your staff. We've been in many discussions where you are very concerned about the rates you pay and keeping staff and doing those kinds of things. That's amazing. Not the capital campaigns, but the campaigns, the fundraising you've done is just exemplary. The quality of help that you go for. I can't be more excited about this presentation. You do so much work our teachers can't do. You help us so much. Your site coordinators are vital too. Even with when they've been sick or when there have been issues, they still go in and they still serve. There's many anecdotes that will go that way. And my questions now. Okay, here we go. What can we do to help you with kinds of donations? And because these meetings are broadcast and many people watch, this is a chance to let the community know what can the community do to help you out.
Okay. So my answer to that question over the past couple of years has been this. We appreciate the community's donations, but we need people in buildings. Our kids need adults with skills, with passion for their growth and their learning to get involved in our schools. That's what we need. We do need the money, but my personal conviction is that if we can get folks involved, if we can get folks investing in our children, then the money thing will take care of itself. That's my ask right now for the community. Get involved that way. You can go to the website, you can click a donate button, but if you get involved, we'll produce the results every opportunity, every child, every time.
Thank you. My second question, could you explain your champ celebration? Because this ties into what you're asking for the volunteers. This is critical, I think.
Yep. In
Thank
30
you.
seconds or less, Champs is a celebration of both volunteers and partners that help bring resources bring themselves and bring their resources, their personal resources and their organizational resources to support our children.
Thank you so much. And we've had many people in our community that have been given incredible awards and things that have followed your lead. So, and my last is a big thank you and kudos. That is a very excellent video. So thank you so much for your time this evening.
Trustee Hill.
Just real quick, I want to highlight that your team of CIS people coordinate 10, I just counted 10 different support groups like the dental bus, the medical bus. So, because you don't staff that bus.
Correct.
But you coordinate with all these other support systems to get them there, get them on time, let the students know when they're coming, so that appointments can be made and their needs can be met. That is phenomenal. Just not only staffing the after-school program, but just getting all those volunteers coordinated across a district our size. Wow, super impressive. Thank you so much.
Vice Chair Jackson.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for the presentation on tonight, Mr. Devers, and thank you for just having a servant's heart and doing this work in our school district and your commitment to the families of the Kalamazoo Public School District. And, thank you for just being like full circle, growing up, being a product of the Kalamazoo Public Schools, becoming a Buckeye and returning back to us. And so we just appreciate your commitment and your servanthood to the district. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
So I don't see any comments coming from this side. I just wanted to follow what some of the trustees have said and say thank you. We've had one conversation. I'm looking forward to our next conversation. And the only question I have is, did I understand that you said that you went to Kamsey?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that everyone heard that. Thank you, Mr. Devers.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a recommendation and resolution authorizing the 2024 refunding bonds. I need a motion.
So move.
I have a motion from Trustee Jackson. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second from Trustee Shola Barber. This will be a roll call vote. Trustee Johnson?
Yep.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Shola Barber?
Yes.
Trustee Hill?
Yes.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
And I vote yes. At this time, persons requesting to address the board. Magic D.
Good evening, and I also want to say happy Black Magnification Month. We'll be celebrating that, and I hope to see a lot of schools in their Black History Month celebrations posted up. I also want to give a big shout out to all the students that were recognized this evening, and also want to thank Mr. Devers for his presentation. I also know quite a few CIS workers in different buildings, and they do a lot. And I do see them doing a lot with the student and their needs. A lot of times it's just changing out an outfit or something like that, getting a pair of socks, but that is definitely important when you're trying to learn. But Dr. Slade, a couple of these questions are for you. Just wanted to know um, when there will be an update on, I guess, the student council, the students that you meet with in the schools. Would love to hear from them, and if they are able to come to the school board to kind of like report out kind of like what you all talk about. I think it would be kind of interesting what they're saying versus, I guess, what some of the adults are saying in school. Also, an update on, I guess, any contact with houseless students doing their door-to-door knocking. Again, I'm willing to roll my sleeves up and to help with that effort as well. And then I'm glad Mr. Devers spoke about that because I've been talking with a lot of students, and one of the things that's been coming up a lot with students is their state of mental health, them talking about their state of mental health. So I want to just ask the board, the administration, how are teachers supposed to implement mental health services throughout their lesson or the day in a responsible way? Because a lot of times during instruction, sometimes is documented, sometimes not, where a teacher has to divert her attention to give a specific student or to some of their attention that's not built into that lesson plan, but it also takes away from that instruction time, so having to play catch up. So again, being responsible, um, so that all students are valued with their experience. And also, students that are not disruptive in class. So, say for example, you have a quiet classroom, everyone is quote unquote working, but you see some students that's sitting there. So, should that be acceptable because those students aren't disrupting, but they are disrupting their own learning? They're not wanting to work, so that should not be tolerated in the classrooms just as much as um, active outward behaviors. Thank you.
Thank you. Under other business, I'm requesting to go to the National Conference of School Boards in New Orleans, and I'm also encouraging all other board members to consider going when we have comments by trustees. I'm sure that we are all going to report out on the experience that we had. The next thing up is the acknowledgement of the upcoming MSAB election. Our fellow trustees sent over information to have our consideration in the nomination process for the board of directors for MSAB. There is a packet of information that gives the background information for all of the candidates. This, the deadline for the ballots is the 6th of March. So this will be on the agenda on the 22nd for us to vote on. And I'm thinking that because we're in Region 6, do we just vote for our region or do we vote? So we just vote for our region. And so we are Region 6, and there are 4 seats available. At this time, we will do. There's one seat and four candidates.
Yeah.
And that's so for the board of directors for MASB. At this time, we will have comments by trustees. Trustee Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. I first want to thank Trustee Johnson for coming to the Kalamazoo Public Library meetings as well as our public forum, and also lending her voice. And thank you, Trustee Charlotte Barber, also for being a part of that forum and another important community partner. So just thank you all so much just for being there, offering your support and your voice in whatever magnitude and capacity. And I also just wanted to say, as we come into Black History Month, we're hoping that we can have young families that have interest in showing up this coming Saturday, our first Saturday at the Alma Powell Library, starting at 11:30, as we celebrate Black History Month and beyond, because we know that Black History Month is just not, Black History is not nothing we just celebrate in the month of February, but it's beyond that. And we want to put a special focus on Black historical local leaders. And so we're grateful for our community partners that will be joining us on that day, MERS Traveling Explorers. And we are thankful for the amazing coloring books that they design that have, again, Black historical figures for both women and men of our community can be found in these books, and certainly someone that you recognize or know are available in these coloring books. And so, and not just people that have passed on, but people that are still alive today. And so I think it is important that we have these windows and mirrors for children to be able to imagine themselves in these prestigious positions. And so every child that comes to our event will receive a free coloring book as well as a free book. And we'll have cupcakes, we'll have art and crafts. And we are glad to have back, by popular demand, Disney's very own Princess Tiana and Princess Tiana and Prince Naive, who are they're from the Princess and the Frog. So they will be back to be with us, and the children were so excited the last time, so we're so glad to have them back. And we're just excited, and we're going to anticipate an amazing time. The young ladies from MERS Explorers, who are fortunate to learn so much through videography, journalism, and photography, and travel around the world. And they will be there to inspire our young people through some projects that they will be providing at that event. So once again, that is this coming Saturday. It is for the entire community. Our focus is always like on young families, and we just love to engage our community and look forward to your participation. So thank you so much for considering that. I also just wanted to say that my heart certainly was concerned when I heard about one of our crossing guards being hit the other day at the Millwood School, and had the opportunity prior to coming to the meeting tonight to visit him, Michael, in the hospital. And he is just chipper, and he's recovering well. I had surgery, and he's doing well. I had an opportunity to meet his sister and to talk to his mother. So he's definitely in good spirit, and we're grateful that he is doing well. And we also just want to appreciate our superintendent and how he takes everything very serious concerning our students, concerning their safety. And so I know that when he talks, he's going to share a little bit more about that. So I don't want to take the spotlight of that because that's his lane, but I just want to appreciate his efforts of gathering with our community partners to make sure that things can take place in order to make sure that we have safe students and staff and families. And so it's been a concern for me for a long time about a lot of our safety, especially around our elementary schools. And so I'm just hopeful that that is something that will continue to evolve and change for the better for our students, and especially those cross guards as well. And I also just wanted to take this moment, it seemed like it's just been a while and I haven't really been able to get this out, but I wanted to also just take this moment to appreciate our former trustee, Trustee Akala, who served for a brief time, but I want the community to know that in the short time that she was here, that she did serve with excellence and had a very strong commitment and a compassionate heart. And one thing I can say for myself that I have learned is that, she lifted up a lot of things that I wasn't really that fully aware about, far as with our Spanish speaking families and some of the barriers that they have experienced in the district. And so I appreciate her lifting up a lot of those concerns. I appreciate Dr. Slade engaging in a lot of those conversations. And one of the things that I appreciate that she did was establish a sort of a partnership, a coalition that began to have a meeting between the Kalamazoo Public Schools, Western Michigan University, Kalamazoo Valley College, Community College, as well as El Casilio, to address some of those concerns and need with challenges with language barriers and various things. And so I'm looking forward to that being an ongoing conversation so that we can resolve problems and challenges that's happening there. And so once again, I just wanted to take this moment publicly to acknowledge and appreciate her for her commitment and dedication to the district. And also congratulations, I've seen in the paper earlier today about their expansion and renovation of their site on 9th Street. I think they're having some type of open house for the Griffin Place out there. So congratulations on that work as well. Thank you.
Trustee Johnson.
Okay, I don't have a lot of comments usually, but it's Black History Month, so I have a lot to say. First, I want to say thank you very much to the drivers for making sure that our kids made it to school during some crazy weather last month. I refused to drive on those days, so I was very prayerful for you guys and very grateful to not hear about any incidents of our children being hurt on the way. So really, I appreciate you guys because a lot of people probably take that piece for granted, right? They like, oh, here comes the school bus, but you have no idea what it took for them to turn that corner. So I did want to say thank you to the bus drivers. I also wanted to lift up Girls on the Run, which is a very important program to the community, and right now still needs volunteers. The hours are about 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes twice a week after school. They need more volunteers, or they may not be able to run their program. So please support the community programs that support your youth. And that's kind of on the tail end of community and schools has inspired us all, right? Because they're connected to the school and in the school. Yeah, we're in the streets. And so we're trying our best to make sure that we're all, providing that 360 service. You all are excellent at it. I'm sad to see one of my sorors leave on Friday, Miss Delana Robson. But I know that she did great work, and that work will continue with other amazing individuals like Artrella. So I am grateful for your service. And back to Black History Month. Yes, it is Black History Month. So please make sure that youth are immersed this month in their identity of self. And those of us who Black History is 365, let it be magnified this month. Be magnificent this month. Be better. Black magnificence is a thing. That's it.
Trustee Hill.
Just a couple of things. I want to say congrats to Miss Kaiser and her financial team for the award-winning way of keeping books, balancing budgets, awesome stewardship of KPS finances. So for the 9th year in a row, the Excellence in Financial Reporting from ASBO and GFOA. I have no idea what those stand for, but they're very important. So thank you, Miss Kaiser and KPS for keeping us sound. And I want to thank the Gilmore, because the Gilmore is a group group in town. They do many things, but it's nice of them. They help with Shenry, and there's a Gilmore festival. It's a keyboard festival. It draws in a lot of people, and our kids get to go see it. A lot of artists and a lot of general public love to go and watch this. But Shenry's an important building, and so with their partnership, we can keep it in great shape so that it can always be used for things like that. And I was lucky enough to go to the National School Board Association, is that what it's called, meeting in Washington, D.C. And I'm just going to highlight one of the things I went to, because we all went to go to different things. 4 of us went, and it was called the Dignity Index, and it was on Sunday afternoon. They spoke about it, and it's building skills for dignified disagreements, which I believe we all need in this day and age. So it highlights easing divisions, preventing violence, solving problems by being curious, not furious, regulate, then debate. I know you're going to love these, Jermaine. Listen to hear, not to respond, challenge ideas, don't attack people, acknowledge the knowledge, and build up rather than tear down. So it was just it was a long, wonderful program about how to communicate. And I don't think COVID did us a lot of favors with communication because we were all so siloed. So I think there's skills we need to relearn. I just thought it was really neat. So I was glad I got to go. Thank you.
I'm going to let Trustee Shola Barber go because I want Trustee Murphy submitted comments, but I didn't think it would do it justice to hide it in the packet, so I would like for you to go last to let the community know your experience the first time at the National Convention. Trustee Shola Barber.
Sure, thank you. First of all, I want to apologize for not mentioning at our last meeting that there was Dr. Martin Luther King week and celebration and of his birthday and whatever. And so, but the community did us proud. I want to shout out to Mount Zion Baptist Church and Northside Ministry Alliance, who did a wonderful presentation on Sunday, January 14th, celebrating the work and the dedication and the ongoing inspiration of Dr. King. Having next to that, the following Sunday, KPS did an amazing thing. Our choirs from both Norix and Kalamazoo Central participated. It was the Symphony of Brotherhood. It was amazing. And there's a person in the audience who was a speaker on the stage. Magic D was there. Candace Lavender did a phenomenal job. Larry Bell did a phenomenal job. The symphony did the junior symphony did a phenomenal job. It was inspirational. So thank you, Magic D, and thank you to all the participants from KPS. That really, this was incredible. I want to shout out to Julie Rogers, our state rep, that invited Dr. Slade to the State of the State with Governor Whitmer, and Dr. Slade was down on the floor with the other reps. It was the only guest that Representative Rogers could have, and she chose Dr. Slade. So shout out, and I'm sure that was a positive experience. Having said that, I want to really thank Governor Whitmer. And when she made her State of the State, public education was a huge part of her platform. And not only mentioning students, but teachers as well. It is not. One of her quotes was, "We will let in Michigan teachers teach." But it's also about universal food distribution to our students. I could go on, but thank you very much for Governor Whitmer and the kinds of things that are focusing on, that administration is focusing on. And before I get into the NASB thing I went to, I want to make sure that we all support the mention of Michael Cunningham. All our hearts are with the family, and hoping that he has a speedy recovery. Again, I will thank James Devers for all you do, and it isn't passive at all. And I'm being very serious and sincere. Our teachers need the support. We can't. Our teachers could not teach as effectively as they do if CIS wasn't doing what they were doing. So all kidding aside, all kudos go to CIS. Thank you so much. Again, I love that we're talking about the symphony and the partnership, as mentioned in the previous part of the meeting, that symphony, when they came to us, probably 10, 15 years ago to partner with us with Chenery. And that has worked out very well. The upgrades that they paid for at Chenery and the continued use of Chenery and the incredible programs. So it's paying it forward continually. So thank you for that. And now I'll get to the NASB part. I really think that as a group, we really encourage education. That's what we're about. But if we don't educate ourselves, how do we know? What do we know? And we can stay local, and local is important. And we can get in state, and that's important too. But when you go national, you see many more urban districts, many more urban issues. You see what's coming, you see what's going. It was so stimulating to be in that venue. Now, I will say we had wonderful speakers. Some of them were spot on. Some I didn't agree with. Some I thought I didn't know necessarily that they had a real beat on exactly what we were doing. But the National Association of School Boards did a yeoman's effort to get a variety that you could find different places. Some of the speakers were Juliana Richardson, and she's got this incredible project of history makers. Speaking of Black History Month, this is what it's about. This woman has gone around, and I don't want to take more time, but she has gone in search of stories that were not told, stories that would not be told, and she has recorded all over. There is amazing amounts, thousands of hours that they have now, and they're archived and they're organized to preserve that oral history tradition, as well as it is amazing. If you have any time, it's Juliana Richardson, and it's the History Makers Project. And I'm sure that there are many people in our district that will make access to this program. Again, Tim Shriver, and that coupled with the Dignity Index that Trustee Hill talked about, amazing situation. There also were Temple Grandin spoke on autism, and Tammy Pyler, Lucas held. There were so many things that really you couldn't get to them all, and you were so stimulated by what was going on. It was the Dignity Index was incredible to take with. There was things that we learned, but there also were take with situations. So I want to thank the district. I want to thank the taxpayers. I want to thank people for giving us the funds to do this, to educate ourselves. We cannot be the end all and the be all. We can never assume we know it all. That is not correct. We need to encourage ourselves to be as educated or continually educate. A couple quotes, and I think this one is really important that I brought back with, that equity does not mean identical. The two things that we went to were NASB Equity Symposium, and then the next day it was the advocacy. So there were one day, and then there was 2 days. So it was almost a twofer. It was incredible. I want to shout out to Millwood Magnet, and they're around the world this Friday night from 5 to 7. Please support our ball players and our swimmers. They're doing amazing things. I really don't want to get into that so much, but I thank the parents for all they do to support the children, and good luck in the conferences. And that's it. Thank you so much.
And so, Trustee Murphy is our newest trustee. She's been on the board just over a year now. And, oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Johnson. I'm so sorry. Well, the newest elected. That's what I wanted to say. Not the newest appointed, the newest elected. And so, she attended I'm going to let her tell her story because I think that it's important, which is, now, I'll let you tell your story and then I'll finish up.
Thank you. So I had actually written this up and requested it to be printed so that you all wouldn't have to sit here and listen to me talk, but the president gets to make that final call. So sorry, you have to listen to me talk now. So I made this request to go at the encouragement of the president, and I am actually very glad that I did. It was actually 2 conferences back to back is how it was set up. The first one was a 1-day conference called the Equity Symposium. We opened up the day with the national anthem, from a choir from Maryland, and it was immediately followed by an hour and a half presentation from Alex Boyer, which I imagine at least one of you watches more TV than I do. He was on America's Got Talent. He's from Nigeria, and he now does motivational speaking and does a ton of video work for a university in Utah. He had so much energy for 8 a.m. I don't know how he did it, but it was amazing. He sang, he danced, he performed. It was incredible. So the goal of his presentation was, you're a 10. He could tell me I'm a 10 all day long. I still am not going to believe it, but if he says so, just, all right, cool, let's go. After breakfast, in his opening presentation, we had the option to choose one of 4 to 6 breakout sessions. I attended Creating Schools Where Transgender and Non-Binary Students Thrive. It was hosted by trans speaker Vanessa Ford out of Chicago. And the core takeaway from the session was that the making spaces more accessible for trans and non-binary students will also make spaces more accessible and safe for all students. Statistics show that when a student feels safe at school, they are more likely to attend regularly, thereby increasing attendance, exposing them to education, and increasing learning. Eliminating bullying, slurs, harassment, and enforcing basic respect and decency will support a healthy learning environment for all students. So after I wrote that, and I've been sitting and reflecting on it, if you take out the trans and non-binary part of what I just read and replace it with any other adjective for any other group of people, the same statement applies. Eliminating bullying, slurs, harassment, and enforcing basic respect and decency will support a healthy learning environment for all students, especially for those not in the majority. That's something that we need to work on all day, all the time. So that was something that was my takeaway. After that, we attended the networking lunch, as Trustee Schuller-Barber just discussed. Dr. Juliana Richardson, founder and CEO of the History Makers. It is a 501c3. It is based out of Chicago. They do have over 20 employees now. She started off on her own. They have over 20 employees. And they do have subscriptions to the streaming platform. And they also have pre-created educational materials to write essays and do research, so that in the example she started her presentation off with was, I got so tired of my students writing papers on George Washington Carver. There's got to be more. I know there's more. And that's how she got started. And so now the archive has over 5,000 recorded interviews ranging from 4 to 15 hours long with each of these folks, and with the oldest being 109. I was so happy that this was taking place, that this exists, and that they're still gathering recordings, and that they're accessible to students across the country. It's such an important piece of our history. So after lunch, there was another breakout session. We had, again, 4 to 6 to choose from. I attended I Count Two, Affirming Students Who Look, Love, Learn, and Live Differently. And this was presented by Dr. Michael T. Williams. And the 4 L's. Sorry, I took notes and then I typed it up, and then I don't know where I put them. Oh, I put them in the folder. Look is physical and that includes the color of your skin, whether you are physically disabled, if you have scars. And the phrase that he used was aesthetically exceptional. Those who love differently, if they are a member of the LGBT plus community or if their family is, because some children have two moms or two dads. Those who learn differently, those who are special education or perhaps they are IB or AP. And those who live differently, those who are houseless, those who are indigent, those who are transient, those who are adjudicated, those who are multi-generational, those who are foster, those who are immigrant. So for all of those, because all of those are present in every school, and you can't tell just by looking at them, except for the ones that you can. You have them in every school. They're present in our buildings, they're present in our districts, and we need to ensure all students know that they're welcome. And we have to support them in the ways that they need. When children are accepted and they feel they belong, when they feel that they are part of a community in their school, they are more likely to come regularly. Attendance increases learning opportunities, grades, and test scores. If community is missing, climate surveys should be taken and the data should be used to start making changes. And the other thing that he said is that some states are now requiring by law climate surveys multiple times a year, anywhere from one time a year, multiple times a year. And the important part of that is that the data isn't just received, it's that it's used and acted upon. And then the final session of the day was a joint session, and each of the subcommittees presented from NSBA, NSBA being national, and MASB being state. So NSBA has subcommittees. They have the National Hispanic Council, the National Black Council, and the American Indian and Alaskan Native Council. And that was wonderful to hear stories. We heard from the National Hispanic Council of a gentleman who started as an activist, became an advocate, and got elected. I believe he's a senator now. Anyway, that was amazing. In one election cycle, he knocked and got 34,000 people registered to vote in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And that was just one day. That was just the equity day. The advocacy days were just as packed, and they were learning about the federal landscape of how the upcoming election is going to be, learning about how to interact with folks, what the important parts about interacting with our federal representatives are, why it's important to email them, the things that NSBA believes are important at the federal level. Dr. Kimona Burke, the Senior Policy Fellow for the Foundation for Excellence in Education. This was the lady from Mississippi. They also had a reading by third grade law, except they enforced the don't pass the children if they can't read. And they're doing it a little bit differently than we did. And she discussed the science of reading and how they had like $1 million, $15 million. That was it for the whole state for K through 3. So after that, we returned to talk about ongoing polarization in K-12 education nationwide and the importance of finding common ground and then working forward from there. Because if we start off not on common ground, where are we going to go? So then, fast forward to Monday. Temple Grandin. If any of you have ever worked with or had an autistic child, you've probably heard of Temple Grandin. If you haven't, she was nonverbal until she was 4, and she is currently in her 60s. So, way back a long time ago, they didn't really have an understanding or comprehensive autism anything. So she has been discussing and advocating for autistic people for a very long time. She has her bachelor's, her master's, and her PhD. She lectures. She writes books extensively. She likes to wake up, drink coffee, and read Nature magazine. And she is a veterinarian. Probably the thing that you've probably heard is that she redesigned cattle chutes. And they were Cargill, the largest beef processor in North America, didn't understand why sometimes the cattle were okay and sometimes they were upset when entering the cattle chute. And she said, I showed up on site and I said, well, it's because the sun moves and all of your gear is reflective. Well, it was reflective, so it was easy to clean, easy to sanitize, except then the sun reflected off, and the way that cows' eyes and brains work, it startled them, which is why they were startled. Made complete sense to her. Everyone else was just like, what? So she was, that's because not everyone learns the same, which was her point. And to dismiss people because they learn differently or don't understand concepts as quickly or as easily or in a different manner is to completely dismiss someone. And that is unfair. And so the way that the current education system is set up is not servicing some of our students and completely disservicing a number of our students. And to take a look at how we are educating a population of our students in our current system. And having put an autistic child through our current education system, I very much appreciated her presentation. After that, that actually took place right before lunch. I completely jumped ahead because I got there at 7:30 in the morning to buy all of her books and get them signed and get one dedicated to my kid who has ADHD and is going into veterinary science. She was stoked, by the way. So actually, during breakfast, we had a pep talk from a 9th grade world history teacher that you might know from a pep talk he gave to the Giants when they won the Super Bowl and came up with the All In slogan. His name is John Paul Gonzalez. He discussed how after he left high school, he actually went to the NFL, played for a couple years, left, became a teacher, and then got called up one day to give a pep talk to the Giants. And then he's been doing that for 7-ish years now. He just goes and gives pep talks to the Giants. He has a whole bunch of shirts that all say All In on them because he travels around the world and gives pep talks to teams. So just remember to, when you make a decision, commit to it and recommit to it every day. That's what's behind All In. Then we heard from a senator who re-explained that it is way more powerful to hear sincerely from a citizen than from a lobbyist. That he said that at least 10 times. He would rather get an email or a call from a citizen than from a lobbyist. It means more to him. We also had a presentation from Real Clear Politics. And then I attended a breakout on School Nutrition 101 which was from the School Nutrition Association, who explained how federal school lunch guidelines are more strict than any other, including jail and prison. And yes, for example, there was an attempt at the federal level to make school lunches contain 100% whole grain and reduce the sodium levels. So when COVID hit and everything had stopped going to schools because school wasn't in session, everyone who made school food was stuck with all of this high grain, low sodium food they couldn't even send to jail because prisoners were like, nope, we're not eating that. It was too healthy. So the School Nutrition Association said, no, thank you. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to ensure that healthy food remains in schools, but isn't just thrown away because it's not tasty or edible. You can make it as healthy as you want, but if kids aren't eating it, what good is it doing? It's just a waste of money. We had lunch. We had a bunch of speakers. I went to the last breakout session, which was ESSA, Title Programs 101. And I learned about the very first title program signed in 1965 during the War on Poverty. My eyes about fell out of my head. I think we're still fighting it. So the most recent reauthorization was 2015 with ESSA, and that replaced No Child Left Behind. And we got a whole PowerPoint on what Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, what the requirements are, what the funding is used for, and how Michigan State ESSA plan, which was last updated and approved in October of 2023, aligns with federal guidelines. The reports are found in My School Data, and it's why we have so many required tests. So if you don't like the required tests, write to your federal legislators and tell them that you want them to change it. Because if we don't do the tests, we don't get Title I funding. It has to be changed at a federal level. There were 2 additional meetings after that. I didn't attend. I ate something and didn't feel well. And then on Tuesday, we, along with over 100 other school boards from the state of Michigan, went to have breakfast with Debbie Stabenow and a representative from Senator Gary Peters. Michigan had the largest representation at NSBA this year. And we also, President Harrison and I, along with another trustee from Battle Creek Public Schools, Lakeview, met with our Representative Huizinga, and had a one-on-one with him and advocated for some changes that we'd like to see. That's what we did. So when we ask to go to these trainings, it is definitely not just like sitting in the pool. We do a lot. And it helps us. And I wanted to give this to you. I know it's a lot. I did not want to sit here and talk for 20 minutes, but I wanted you to know, like, this is what we do. This is what we learn. This is what we bring back to the board so that we are informed leaders of the district. And I'm more than happy to email that and send it out and whatever. I'm happy to do that. And when I did have a little bit of downtime, not when I eat something weird, but Saturday morning, someone very kind and thoughtful invited me to visit the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and I brought back a souvenir. It's a button that has a quote from Frederick Douglass that says, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." And that is one of my favorite things that I brought back. Thank you.
Absolutely. I don't have much to say. I allowed Trustee Murphy my comment time so that she could have the space to express the things that she got to experience. So what I will say is two things. Thank you, Mr. Devers, for your presentation. Thank you for the work that you do in this community. I look forward to expanding the partnership that we have and figuring out ways that we can support you. So my public acts to the community on behalf of communities and schools in Kalamazoo Public Schools and the students that we serve is for more people to figure out ways that they can volunteer their time and talents to not just that organization, but all of the organizations that support our students, including Girls on the Run. I also want to take this opportunity to encourage the community to take advantage of the extended application, the time that we have for you to submit your application. It is open until the 8th, and we look forward to receiving your application. I'm not sure if Superintendent Slade has anything else.
I just want to quickly thank the entire Kalamazoo staff for their hard work during the month of January. And I'm talking about the entire staff, starting with senior leadership, bus drivers. I don't know if you know, I like to do a lot of school visits, and most of them are unannounced. I'm going in back doors, side doors, because I'm trying to see what's really going on in schools. And I will say, when I do that, I see school building, I see staff members who are working at the highest levels. I'm talking about teachers, engaged, highly energetic, who just have a love for students, and you can't fake that. So, and this is in every school for the most part that I go in. Also want to follow up on what Vice President Jackson said. This is a group I never publicly thanked, but I do want to thank our crossing guards. I know as an elementary school principal myself, I depended on the crossing guard every day to help keep our students safe. I want the gentleman who was injured in that unfortunate accident to know that we're all thinking about him. Also want to just recognize the fact that our city manager, Jim Ritzma, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but he sent me a letter today, and the city is putting some things in place because, again, they want to work the city manager, police department, fire department, we all work as a team. So he sent me a letter today, and these are the things he's putting in place to try to help ensure that doesn't happen again. A full-time traffic enforcement officer at that location, new signage, a speed trailer, I don't know what that is, electronic flashing beacons, those beacons, those lights that kind of help people slow down when they're supposed to. So I do want to just thank him and the city for addressing the situation. Again, our prayers are with the gentleman who was injured. And again, our crossing guards do a whole lot for us every day. I also want to thank our parents, students, everybody involved who comes to our sporting events. We've talked about this all year. We haven't had any serious incidents at our sporting events. Thankful to we had a game the other day, Benton Harbor versus Kalamazoo Central, full house. I want to thank the principal, our Chief Webster, Mr. McCain, that whole team for keeping students safe, our police department. Magic D left, but I do appreciate when Magic D comes to the mic and she says some real stuff. And I do want to say, we are continuing to improve. I receive emails and letters every day, some good, some folks unhappy just about attendance, but those numbers are improving. Our student achievement numbers are improving. Again, I want to thank the whole Kalamazoo team for that. But I do want to follow up on what Magic D said. We have to keep pushing our students, and she brought up the fact that sometimes you have students in the classroom that may be quiet, but that doesn't mean they're engaged. So we're going to keep pushing all of our students to do their best. We want to have another fantastic month and during the month of February. So thank you.
I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I so move. One second.
I just need a second. I need a second because we got ready to go. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'll see you guys in a couple of days.